Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a Monday night West Ham Weekly. What a privilege, eh? Back on Mondays because now that we don't have any two games each week, I'll have a little bit more time to actually prepare a show for a Monday night rather than having to do it on a Tuesday night. So, welcome back to the Monday night show, and I hope you're all well. I hope everyone's kind of recovered from the disappointment of missing out on a European final. But we did well at the weekend, picked ourselves up, brushed ourselves down, and ready to go again in the Premier League. So I'm going to talk about my Eintracht Frankfurt experience. And I'm going to talk about Norwich as well. I didn't go. First away game I've missed for several months, but I won't lie to you. I was knackered and I needed a break, and I was actually really quite pleased for it as well. So I'm going to go over those two games. I'm also going to talk about all the latest player news, injury updates, and so on and so forth. And guess what's back? Yeah, we've got time for it. Transfer nonsense is back. So I'm going to be giving you the latest updates on all the transfer rumors that are knocking around. Usual stories, to be quite honest with you. There's one or two new ones that I read about today, but more or less the same kind of transfer stories that you've been hearing week in, week out. But before I do all that, I've got to make a quick mention because I promised I would. I've got to make a quick mention. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about Todd, who's one of my viewers, and Derwent, who were going to drive to the Ukraine the day after the first leg of the semi-final against Frankfurt, and they managed it. They got there. Please forgive the photos, but because I've only just loaded them pretty quickly. But Derwent and Todd got to Lviv in Ukraine, and they dropped off all the necessary essentials that they had with them in the van. And well done to them. It was a fantastic effort, and anyone that supported them, well done to you as well. Ironically, more worryingly, 24 hours after they left Lviv, it got bombed. They were out, and they managed to drop all the items off. And they said there's quite a few West Ham fans who are doing the same sort of thing, who are driving vans over there and lorries, etc., sort of dropping off stuff, really essential stuff. And well done to them. Fantastic efforts, and we applaud you. And before I forget as well, because I haven't got it in my script and it came up today, congratulations to Declan Rice for making the Premier League team of the season. Much deserved. Absolutely fantastic effort. I don't know who else has made it, but who cares? Declan is the main man. So fantastic there too. So let's go into the chat before I get into the actual body of the show, shall we? Good evening to you, Howard. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining. Evening to you, mate. Good evening, John. How are you? Anyone fancy a sweepstake on lateness? Bloody cheek. I wasn't late. Pash, hello, mate. Everyone, evening, everyone. Hope this show tells us what made it to the. We've made it to the final. I wish, mate. It's ruined my birthday. Because I actually had everything planned around my birthday being at the stadium in Seville, celebrating my 60th. So there you go. But you know what? It's such a shame. It was upsetting, to actually get that far. But I'm going to talk about the game in a moment. James, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Dabs. The irony that the one game we smash a team 4-0, we haven't got any youngsters on the bench. Well, irony. James, 21-24 predicted start. Bloody cheek. What's wrong with you lot? Howard, pound on 21-30. You've all lost your money. 21 and 35 seconds, and I'll be on mute. Bloody nerve. Good evening to you, Daniela. How are you? Thank you. Thanks for joining. Good evening, Frano. How are you, mates? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining as well. I wonder who is preventing this week. Preventing or presenting? Was that presenting, sir? It's a one-man show. Who else is going to present? Unless you come on and do a guest presentation for me one day, John. How about that? I'll message you after the show and you can come on and be a guest show on my channel. Good evening, Paul. How are you, mate? Good evening, Alfie. I hope you're well. Good evening, WHU. I hope you're well. Bradley, how are you, mate? Are you going on Sunday? See you on Sunday. because we can have a drink or two for my birthday. James, this is why I don't exactly. See, you lost your money. Oh yeah, it is me again. Good evening, Martin. How are you, mate? I thought I was late joining tonight. Should have known, mate. Never late, because I'm always later. Good evening to you, Anil. Good evening to you, Pam. Thank you for sending me the photos of you being at Norwich. That's it. You rub it in while I was having a rest. Good evening to you, Serif. How are you? Kalispera to you. Hope you're. I'm very well, thank you. Good evening to you, Stuart. How are you, Daniela? Look, if we're honest with ourselves, winning the Europa League first time round was a bit of a romantic, optimistic, and tad hard. If we think that it was, we're new to this. We'll just go and smash it next season, won't we? When we get into the top six. And Pash, I feel we could have got a draw in Frankfurt had Moyes' volley been on target. Good point. Good point. So let's go into the first part of the show, shall we? So we arrived in Frankfurt on Wednesday afternoon. Oh, wrong one. We arrived in Frankfurt on Wednesday afternoon at the main station, and boy, oh boy, was that an experience in its own right. We did. We just thought we'd get the tickets collection out of the way, and we went to the hotel which was right opposite the station exit to pick up our tickets. And there were loads of West Ham fans knocking around. It was quite evident there were far more fans around than there were tickets, and the atmosphere seemed quite calm. Our hotel walk was something like 20 minutes away from the main centre, and I'm quite glad that it was that far away. Because it was pretty tasty, so to speak, in the centre of Frankfurt on various nights. We heard a rumour that the night before, I think on the Tuesday night, two vans had pulled up outside a bar in the centre. Out jumped a whole load of Frankfurt ultras, and they attacked the few West Ham fans that were in there. Great, eh? And throughout our time there, we were hearing various stories, various similar stories. And what's worse, around the main station, it was obvious that it was quite a rough area. I don't know if anyone is from Frankfurt, and I do apologise if you are, but I'm sure there are some very nice parts of Frankfurt. But around the main station itself wasn't that pleasant. A lot of crackheads, a lot of junkies, a lot of drug dealers were around. And if you weren't getting hassled by Frankfurt ultras, you were getting hassled by junkies trying to mug you and steal your bags and all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't the most pleasant experiences. You know, having done various other away days abroad, you know, Seville and Lyon, etc. And I thought Lyon was going to be bad, but it was nothing in comparison to Frankfurt, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, we got back into this main city on the day of the game to meet some other friends and to pick up some more tickets. And then out of the blue, out of nowhere, we were standing around waiting outside the where the ticket collection was being made. This fella like darted like from the exit out, and he ran, and he had something in his hand. And then we found out later that he had some saying he had one ticket in his hand. Others were saying that he managed to grab a pile of tickets from the actual collection point and made off with them. Because what happened later on in the day, fans were turning up with vouchers, valid vouchers, and they weren't getting tickets. Now, I'm not suggesting that was the only reason why they didn't have tickets, but it seems to be the main reason. A lot of fans turned up and they said that they couldn't get tickets because West Ham said that they'd run out of tickets. Now, I don't know. This fella was fast. I couldn't even recognize him if I saw him again today. You know, he bombed it, and he was pretty fast, and he made out with quite a number of tickets, which was a shame, because what that meant was that legit fans that had vouchers couldn't get into the game. What a shame. Anyway, later on that day, we started making our way to the stadium. Got on the train at the main station, 20-minute train journey or so, and then the most bizarre journey to a stadium that I've ever had, which basically we walked through the woods, and we actually literally, if anyone was there, it was the most bizarre situation to be in. We literally walked through the woods. When we arrived at the station, the station by the stadium, You could see the stadium to your left hand side. You thought, okay, well, that's pretty close. But what what the officials did, what the police did, etc., etc., they made us come out of the station, and we had to go all the way around through the woods to get to what looked like the, I don't know, the back end of the stadium or whatever. But the irony was, when we actually got to the stadium, um, we had Eintracht Frankfurt fans walking past us into their end. So mate, I think what I concluded was that they're actually leading us away from the ultras area, and what looked like, where we were, a lot of the fans would look quite elderly, probably family sort of area, etc., etc. And I can only conclude that we were kept well away from the ultras side. Anyway, we finally walked into the stadium an hour and a half before kickoff, and it was packed, and it was noisy, and it was heaving, and it was, with the greatest of respect, very, very impressive. There's one thing about Eintracht Frankfurt fans, that they're so-called ultras, being, wanting to have a fight, etc. But this lot, they were there, they were in the stadium, it was pretty full, it was pretty loud. A whole hour and a half before the build-up was, I can't lie, the build-up was absolutely impressive. What we saw, what we heard, the way they were set up, well before they were building up the atmosphere. See, by the time the kickoff started, they were really in the zone. Very, 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 very impressive. Right, so the lineups were announced, and I think the only sort of surprise for me, I said the week before that for me, the one way of maybe beating Frankfurt was by getting in behind them, playing it fast, keep moving, etc., and really troubling their front line, their defense. And for me, I thought that quite possibly by in that respect, I thought Benrahma would start over Lanzini. Now, Lanzini, more technically minded, yeah, I grant that, but a little bit slower in comparison to Benrahma. So I was quite surprised that Lanzini got the call. I get it. Packed out the midfield, but it's the flanks that I think we wanted to test them at, and that's not quite what we did. But having said that, we actually started off really well. The first 15, 19, 20 minutes or so, we played fine. We seemed to be composed. We seemed to be in the game. They weren't troubling us at all. They were actually sitting back as I thought they would, and we were in it. And then, of course, I mean, how's our luck, hey? How is our luck? For the second time in an away game, Aaron Creswell gets another red card. Look, a lot of people have slated him. A lot of people have said, "Oh, I don't want to see him playing the shirt again." How can you say that about someone who has given his all? The players don't. He got caught out. I would ask, where was our central defenders who were caught quite far up forward, and Creswell was left on a 1-to-1. The lads around me who I was with said you should just let him go and see what would happen. You never know. Areola might have saved the ball, etc. It was the most look. It was a red. We can't deny it. It was a red card, the most innocuous of red cards. But you give the referee, or in this case VAR, an opportunity to review, and you know what's going to happen. The minute the ref went to the VAR screen, we said, because we were really surprised. We kind of laughed and said, wow, we got away with that one when the ref originally produced the yellow card. But then it went to the VAR check, and the minute the ref went to check it on the screen, we said, that's it. He's going to be sent off. We knew damn well that was going to happen. And it was a big ask to sort of come back from that. It was being 2-1 down in the first leg, and then going down to another goal when we were exposed because of the sending off. Yeah, it was a too big an ask. But I'll tell you something, our players played with heart. They played well. They looked. I suggested straight after the game that I thought Antonio wasn't running as much as he could have done. But then I kind of looked back at the game and said, my God, he ran himself into the ground, and so did everybody else. You couldn't ask for any more. It was disheartening. It felt, we felt really low. We felt really down after the game. How can you put a defeat like that by past you? It was we were so close to being in a final. And in all honesty, we were better than them in the first leg. We didn't take our chances. As Moyes said, we lost the game in the first minute of the first leg by letting them score that goal. And ever since then, we were chasing the game. It was sad, but we can hold our heads high. I think we did absolutely fantastically. Pam said earlier, you can't win this, or was it Daniela said we can't win this sort of competition first time round. Would have been not that it would have been a fluke, but it would have been a tall order. But I think we come strong again next season. I'm going to talk about our position in the league and where we might end up and what competition we might be in next season. As soon as the final whistle blew, my goodness me, we didn't see anything, never seen anything like it. The massive pitch invasion that happened, fans were on that pitch, and do you know something? They didn't go anywhere. I know one of the fans went up to Antonio and tried to goad him, by interviewing him, saying what's up, and all this sort of rubbish. And Sufal came out and said, I don't care. If they touch me, it was their problem, not mine. He wants to come over and clap the fans, which he fantastically did. Sufal did, Yarmolenko did, Antonio did. But I could understand why some of our other players had to get off that pitch pretty sharpish, because the fans literally stormed that pitch from the minute that whistle went. I just wonder, I'm going to talk about UEFA in a minute. And what might happen with Declan and so on, but I just wonder what UEFA might do about this. Probably nothing. We were warned, weren't we, when those two idiots ran on the pitch at home in the home game, not against Frankfurt, but against Lyon. We were warned that anything like that would happen, and we'd be sanctioned, and we'd be fined or whatever may happen. Are Frankfurt going to be sanctioned for that? Are they going to, strictly speaking, when something like that happens, you normally expect the next game to be played behind closed doors. And the next game is, of course, the final. So that ain't going to be played behind closed doors. Or are they going to take a sort of punishment out on them next season if they reach the Champions League or if they're back in Europe or whatever? It's odd. It's odd because we know damn well if that had been West Ham, we would have had the book thrown at us. And there's been absolutely no mention whatsoever as to whether anything's going to happen with the invasion. Look, our players were safe. These fans came on, they were cheering, they were happy, they were joyous. They got to the final. But I just wonder, would we have done the same if the second leg had been at home and we got through to the final? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Anyway, let's get on to Declan and more UEFA trouble. After the game, Declan Rice, we all saw that. I'm sure most of you by now saw the video. He went up to the ref. He used a number of expletives, and he basically called him a cheat. And he basically said, "You've been paid off." And do you know, I can understand why Declan would have been really upset. It was a monumental game. Emotions were running high. Uh, and you can sort of understand why he came out with what he did, because it just felt as if everything went against us. This referee, by the way, Jesus Gil Manzano, when he was announced, I looked into his credentials to see what sort of referee he was like, and boy oh boy is he a trigger happy or card happy ref. In 33 games this season that he's officiated in, he has brandished no fewer than 142 yellow cards and 6 reds, plus a further 2 yellow cards, and which led to 2 red cards. So that's an average of about 4 yellow cards per game. Do you remember how many yellow cards he brandished at this game? 8. 8 yellow cards in this game. It wasn't the most dirtiest of games by any stretch of the imagination, but he brandished 8 yellow cards and 1 red. Now, was it a game that was that dirty to suggest that it required so many cards? I don't know. This was the first Europa League game he officiated in, after officiating 18 games in La Liga, 5 in Copa del Rey, 5 in the Champions League, plus several other qualifiers and so on. So why did UEFA all of a sudden decide to give him this game? The first UEFA game. I'm not saying he didn't, he wasn't worthy of it. He may have proved his credentials. You don't get to ref as many La Liga games and Champions League games if you're not a half decent ref. But did they know that this was the one referee that was going to be card happy, because he certainly did it. But in fairness to him, he wasn't the one that brandished the red card initially. It was VAR. Now I don't know who was officiating on VAR, but if they were anywhere close to this guy in terms of how he manages games, it wasn't a surprise that VAR asked him to look at Creswell's challenge. I'm not saying it wasn't a red, but it was a very feeble red. And given the nature of the game, the importance of the game, sometimes the referee needs to sort of maybe be a bit more lenient. I don't know what you think, but those are my thoughts. But that wasn't the only red he brandished, was it? Because later on in the game, he brandished a red for David Moyes as well. I love what Moyes said when the ball boy dropped the ball. It felt nicely for him to volley it. Hey, he's got a sense of humour. You give him that. But he brandished a red card for that as well. And, emotions were high. Emotions were high. It shows how much it really meant to West Ham United to get through. But I think, as I said earlier, we hold our heads high. We go again next season, see what competition we're in, and we give it our all. And we'll be one season more wiser than we were this season. We'll be a bit more smarter, a bit more savvy in Europa, and I think we'll do an awful lot better next time round. We'll go that one step further and get to a final. Right, so we had Norwich to come at the weekend. Actually, before I do that, let me have a look at your comments, see what you guys think of what I've said. Good evening to you, Jovi. I hope you're well. Still heartbroken? Absolutely, mate. Good evening to you, Trini. Bradley, I'll be there on Sunday with Pash B and the usual suspects. Who's Pash B then? Do I know Pash? Is he hiding behind a pseudonym? You're going to have to point him out to me. Good evening, Mr. Whetstone. Nigel still walking at the 2 hours and 15 mark and still going strong on the pod. Thank you for that. He told me you weren't going to promote my show. That's unfair. GP, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Tony. I hope you're well. GP, tasty as in kebabs and burgers. Good evening, Gary. How are you? I hope you've recovered. Any Haribos? You better ask Paul for Haribos. Anil, good evening to you. I worked in Frankfurt for a few months, didn't like it, stayed in a hotel near the station. It's horrible around there. Yeah, it is. And forgive me, anyone from Frankfurt, do forgive me. I'm not, it's just that area around the station was not very nice. Stuart, looks like a nice walk still. Let's hope Rangers beat the Hitlers mob. You can't say that. Daniela, I'm going to miss Sunday games. I'm playing cricket at London Fields, Hackney. Have a great game, everyone. Let's get the 3 points. Well, you're not going to miss Sunday games because we are going to qualify for a European European competition next season. So you mean you're going to miss them because you're going to start playing cricket? I'm sorry. Okay. Good. Well done to you. Well done to you. But you should come to football instead. Stuart, for me, still, I think 6th spot is ours. I think Champions League with our squad is a bridge too far at the moment. You're probably right there. Good evening to you, Sharky. We do, and I'm going to talk about transfers later, and I'll do a transfer special as well over the next few weeks to talk about what do we really need to bring into the squad. Sharky, we don't have any out-and-out wingers. We don't, but I think what I meant was, Benrahma has more pace than Lanzini, so I think he could have got at them a bit better than Lanzini did, Benrahma. But it is what it is. Sharky and Stuart, everyone saying hello to each other. Who else have we got here? Trini, 11 men, and we would have smashed them. You know what? We were in the game, weren't we, Trini? We were absolutely in the game. There was no reason to. There was nothing to fear. They offered nothing. I think they had the one or 2 shots on target, and one of them went in. Good evening to you, Faye. Thank you for joining. Proud of how far we have come. Absolutely agree, 100%. GP, Kostic and Kamara are top players too. They could get into top 14. I like Kostic. I really like Kamara as well. I thought he was a nippy sort of. I don't mean that as a pun. I thought he was a great little player there. Daniela, last Thursday was just a bridge too far and away. It was, unfortunately. Howard, what a journey it's been. Loved European football, and we're going to have more of it next season. Good evening to you, Nick. How are you? Are you on time? I am on time. I am, mate. I'm always on time. I keep saying you lot are always too early. If I say 9, that means 9:15. If I say 9:15, that means 9:30. If you don't know that by now, what can I say? By the way, if you haven't yet subscribed to John and Nick's channel, Claret and Booze, do so on YouTube channel. They're a fun bunch of lads. Nick, he's a bit miserable, but it's but John and Gary, Nick's brother, sort of keep him keep him sort of what's the word I need to use, Nick, out of his misery. Anil, having been to most of the home Europa games, I'm really up for prospects of Europe again next season. I think we're going to go again. We're going to go again next season. Kieran, how are you, mate? G'day to you as well. I hope you're well. Daniela, yes, but the Daily Mirror and the Sun are making a mill of the Rice referee. Oh, fuck them. It was. Look. Let's be honest. You can't swear at the ref. Fair play. You can't say. You can't say he's been bribed. I understand that too, but it's in the heat of the moment. We're waiting for now. David Moyes was asked, are you gonna discipline Declan, and he said, not on my watch, and absolutely right as well. And apparently they're waiting for the UEFA, the refs report to see what happens next. Declan could be banned for up to 3 games. So when we make Europe again next season, he could be banned for the first 3 games. It's possible. But let's see what the refs report comes out with first. John, good evening to you, mate. I didn't think that the ref was too bad for the second leg. We were a little bit naive with the way we lost our heads and picked up the cards in that game. Good shout, John. Yeah, I agree. He wasn't. He was card happy, but he didn't look to be that bad. But I think sometimes a ref, like when the ref starts brandishing out cards, it's almost for the most innocuous of things. They brandish them for not almost no reason, but 8 cards in a game for a game that wasn't dirty. Nick, Decky's showing some real fire lately. Love to see it. Going to get a Euro ban of some description, though. It looks like he will. Good evening, Mr. Young Whetstone. Still, do you think top 6 is still on? I absolutely do, mate. And once I talk about Norwich game, I'll tell you why I think top 6 is going to be on in just a moment. But thank you for joining, Finn. Nice to see you again, mate. Jason, we have to learn to play the game with the corrupt refs. Don't place hands on shoulders when defending for a start. In fairness, the ref gave Cress a yellow to start with. It's essential we learn and win. You're spot on again there, Jason. Absolutely right. We have to learn how to play European style football, as in, what do these European referees expect? Because it is very different. Something that we might get away with in the Premier League, we might not necessarily get away with in Europe. You're absolutely spot on. Let's scroll down a little bit. Anthony, good evening to you. Freddie Star 8 Zoomers. Better not say that too loud. The missus can hear me. Good evening, Martin. I hope you're well. If we had lost, the place would have not been stormed. Everyone would have stayed in their seats and still celebrated with the team. Yeah, agreed. But I just wonder if UEFA are going to do anything about their invasion of the pitch. Good evening, Nigel. The monkey says, I preferred you on the net. Epic. Something must be wrong if Stella's on time. Mate, new channel, new me. When I say 9, what did I say a minute ago? When I say 9, I mean 9:15. Well, that 15 minutes is not late, is it? Normally, really, for any normal person, if you say 9 and turn up at 9:15, that's not really late, is it? When you say 9 and turn up at 9:30, that I've done in the past, then fair enough, that's a bit late. Good evening, Carino. Advantage of being old is we remember the last time we won something. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember that we won quite a few things, but nothing recently. James, it's funny because I've flown right over the stadium, flying from Frankfurt, and I thought, what a strange setting for a stadium, surrounded by forest. It is odd. It is absolutely in the middle of nowhere. Dabs. Bit of a coincidence than when Benrahma was dropped for Lanzini earlier this season, that Antonio's form dropped around the same time. And yesterday when Benrahma played, Antonio also scored. That's a really good point. Didn't really put that 2 and 2 together there before, but really good point there, Dabs. Martin, the Station District is a problem corner of Frankfurt. Drugs and sex. I'm from Martin. I hope I haven't offended you. I really do. But it's not pleasant round there. It reminds me of what King's Cross was like about 25 years ago. Where it was full of drugs and prostitutes and all that sort of stuff. It felt like that, but we cleaned that up. You cleaned that place up. I'm sure there are some really lovely parts of Frankfurt as well. So I do apologize. I hope I didn't offend you, Martin. Pam, didn't know didn't Kostic do a similar attack on one of ours in the second half and got away without even a yellow, yet Crazy gets the red. Yeah, well, as has just been mentioned, we got to be smart. We got to know how to play the game. We got to know how to sort of be savvy in Europe if we're going to get all the way through to the final. And they do. They know how to foul. They know how to get away with stuff. But we're still learning. Garino, we looked better with Lanzini and Fornals and Benrahma in midfield. Passing was much better and crisper. Yeah, a lot has been said about Soucek being dropped. I think he was rested. He wasn't dropped. But a lot has been said. We looked like a much more attack-minded team. And I'm going to speak about the Norwich game in a moment. Actually, why don't we go there and talk about the Norwich game? Thinking that we lost out of the Europa League, that maybe the heads will be down, but we gave Mr. West Ham a very happy 35th birthday. And it's funny, wasn't it? The crowd was singing happy birthday to him as well. And it was all right. I know it's Norwich. I know they're down. They've already been relegated and so on and so forth. I'm aware of that. But you've still got to play who you've got to play. And we put in an absolutely superb performance against them at the weekend. The team was announced. In came Fabianski, as we kind of knew he would, and in came Benrahma for Soucek. And as people have just mentioned, it was quite a very crisp passing, quite an attack-minded team. We really went for them, didn't we? And we got what we deserved. We were 3 goals up within half an hour or so at the weekend. Very, very good performance. Many thought, like I said, that because our heads would be down, it might be a bit of a lackluster performance, but none of it. And it was really, really good to see. And of course, Benrahma was the star of the show. He was fantastic. He was lively. Do you know, much maligned this season, Benrahma, but he's scored 11 goals in all competitions and 6 assists. That gives him the third highest return rate for West Ham behind Bowen and Antonio this season. That's not bad for a player that many have suggested is not in form. And I'm pleased for him. I'm pleased that he really had a good game. He looked tricky on the ball, and he was on form. He looked really, really sharp. Now, I don't know why he wasn't given the opportunity to get a hat trick because Lanzini took the penalty later on in the game. But it was a great performance. But also the thing that sort of concerned us more is that Benrahma seemed to have twisted his ankle. We saw Dawson going off as well, and we also saw Antonio landing awkwardly as well. Now our understanding is that Dawson and Antonio will be fine. I can talk about Benrahma and his injury a little bit later on. Now, young Finn asked me, do I think we're going to get top 6? I absolutely do. I absolutely think we are in with a massive, massive shout. Look at our goal difference for a start compared to the teams around us. You look at Man United, they've got a goal difference of 1. You look at Wolves, they've got a goal difference of 1. We've got a goal difference of 11. When did we last hear that? Oh, yeah, last season. We got 1 game in hand over Man United. If we win that 1 game in hand, and okay, I know it's Man City, but if we win that 1 game in hand, we go above them. And then it's in our hands, isn't it? Now, I know we've got a bogey team at the end of the season. We've got Brighton, and I know we rarely beat them these days. But I think we're in with a massive, massive shout for 6 spots. And I think Man City, we heard today they've got a massive squad, and we heard that they've got a few injuries, so they can put out anybody and they'll be strong. But I think both West Ham and Wolves are going to have a big shout in the title challenge, and because we play Man City, so do Wolves. So they've got to beat them as well. And also Wolves play Liverpool as well, so they've got really, really hard games to come. Before they've got 3 games in hand, but they've got really, really difficult games to come, and to have to play the challengers for the title is going to be quite a tall order for Wolves. What we will get from Man City, I think we've done well against them over the past few seasons. No longer do we get the 4-0, 5-1, or whatever it is drubbings that we've had in the past. We might get a draw out of them. A win could be a bit of a tall order, but even a draw would put us quite nicely in the hunt for 6th spot. Man United, they got one game left, and they're away to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are going to be no walkover. Look what happened to Man United against Brighton at the weekend. They got absolutely trounced, and they're not a happy team at all. They're not a happy squad whatsoever. So I've got a feeling that they're going to struggle against Crystal Palace, and I think we will go above them. I think we will get enough points from our last two games to go above Man United. I think Wolves will have it a bit too much to do, with Man City and Liverpool to play. But I think we're gonna get just enough. I don't think Man United are necessarily going to beat Crystal Palace. And even if Man United get a draw against Palace, we might still get enough points to go above them. And I'm confident. I'm confident. But having said that, if we don't get sixth place and Europa League football again, who's up for Europa Conference football? I'll tell you what, I am. I know people have been saying, "Oh, the Europa Conference, it ain't worthy, it ain't worth playing." At the week on Sundays and Thursdays for it. It's a bargain basement European competition. Well, when I was a kid, we had three European competitions back then. We had the European Cup, we had the UEFA Cup, we had the Cup Winners' Cup. We had three competitions, and all of them were worthy of being involved in. So why not the Europa Conference League? And look at some of the teams that have been involved: Roma, etc., etc. They've had some pretty decent teams there. So if we don't get sixth spot, and if we don't get Europa League again next season, I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy to see West Ham playing European football, albeit Europa Conference. Because let's not forget, the winners of the Europa Conference League get to go into the Europa League the following season. So that might be another route for us. Mind you, I think we're going to finish in a very, very decent position next season. So I think it's just another route for us to get into European football for the following season. So I'm not against it. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, we don't like it, etc." It's a pony sort of competition. No, I don't think it is. European football is European football. The one thing that I would like to see, though, in order to accommodate European football a little bit better, is a lot of people have been saying about Premier League football on a Sunday afternoon. No atmosphere, it lacks something, etc., etc. I wonder if the TV companies have to agree this is maybe bringing back something like maybe Monday night football. That seemed to be quite popular, and that seems to have fallen by the wayside. Or what about Saturday night football, or even Sunday night football? Late enough so not so late so that fans can't get back home, etc. But at a time, in Italy and Spain and other countries, they have Saturday night football. They have Sunday night football. Why not? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't the atmosphere be better if we brought back evening football, say on a Saturday night or a Sunday night? Surely the TV companies can make money out of that. They seem to be able to make money out of a Sunday afternoon. Why not a Sunday night game or a Saturday night game? A Saturday night game will give us slightly less time to recover from Thursday football, but Sunday night would be ideal, wouldn't it? A 6 o'clock kickoff, something like that, 6:30 kickoff, and you could easily fit it into the schedule. Right. Let's see what you guys have to say before I go on to the next part of the show. Let's see. Faye, cheating football. This is what we've got to learn, Faye, isn't it? We've got to learn how to play. I don't want to call it cheating football, but savvy football. Good evening to you, BCF. I hope you're well, mate. BCH, sorry. Still, you caught me out this time, buddy. I'm like, I did say, new Stell, might start normal on time these days. Who else we got? Good evening, Ballon Dawson. Has Ben Rama improved? Well, I asked the question: has Ben Rama ever really been bad? Every player, it seems this, or most of our players this season seem to have had a lull, apart from maybe Declan and Bowen. But all our other players have had a bit of a lull here and there. I've always liked Ben Rama. I think he's a decent player. I think maybe having a strong end to the season, if he's back after injury, will do him the world of good. Ballon Dawson. Dawson is the most improved player. You can say that without a shadow of a doubt. Mark, I love King's Cross years ago. Bagley's nightclub. Mate, I used to go to Bagley. That shows our age, Mark. Hey, Bagley's nightclub. That was a long time ago. GP, it would be exciting if Benny starts playing like that every game. Exactly. Exactly. I think he's got it in him. Epic. Benrahma has always been a quality player, but Moyes doesn't know what to do with him. There you go. Good evening to your usual suspect. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Sunderland 1. Thank you for that. Who's win? Is that the first leg? I've not been keeping up with those playoff games. Sean, finish finally. Nigel has the ump with you. Why has Nigel got the ump with me? Uh, I think he's got the ump with you more than he's got the ump with me. RGRs, good evening to you. Benrahma, 9 goals and 12 assists in 62 games, or 4.5 and 6.5 per season. Unfair. I'm looking at this season. I think he's improved this season, and he's, as I said, with the goals and assists he's had this season, puts him third behind Bowen and Antonio. Daniela, come Norwich on Sunday. We're as bad as Man U were on Saturday. Dreadful, gave us so much space. I know they did, but that's their problem, not ours, and we took advantage of it. Ballon Dawson, Benrahma again. Norwich is Benrahma's level. Benrahma and Norwich is Benrahma's level. Lower Premier League, top of Premier League standard player. Oh, do you think so? I think that's a little bit unfair. I don't know. I like Ben. I think he will improve next season. I really do. I hope so. Anthony, still, Norwich side was young, lacking height, and demoralised. Byron was kissing a few former mates. Yeah, I know. Look. I know we could only play the team that we were up against, and and they were already relegated, and they were getting but still, we put in a decent performance regardless. Sharky, Dawson is made of stone. Absolutely, he has been fantastic for us this season. Mark, Man City and our bogey team. Luckily, Wolves have a hard run in. Man City, do you know? I've got a feeling. I've just got a feeling that we're going to do it. We don't want to. We've had a taste of European football, and I've got a feeling we're just gonna get into that 6th spot. But disagree with me if you want. Let's scroll down. Anil. Lanzini is designated penalty taker. Glad they didn't offer it to anyone else. Yeah, if he is the designated penalty taker, then rightly so. But it would have been nice for Benrahma to get his hat trick, wouldn't it? Jim Hardy, bit late, but hi anyway. Hi to you, Jim. Thank you for joining, mate. Never too late. Pash. Fabianski, what a great catch from that corner. Quality from numero uno. Yeah, all right. But it was disallowed, so don't worry about it. Mark, conference gives the team experience and a chance to qualify for the next season. Absolutely. I agree with you. Garino, still get some big teams in the Europa Conference come latter stages. Tottenham excluded, of course. They're not a big team. Sean, which one will be longer? More than just a podcast? That's a nice little plug for you, isn't it, Sean? The awards night or West Ham Voice Frankfurt Diaries? Done the diaries already. I don't know. You lot normally go on for about no more than 2 hours these days. The awards night, I've already done 44 minutes. I think I might be the one that goes on later. Martin, happy with the Conference League? Absolutely, I agree. GP, being behind Spurs is the only bad thing. Spuds fans think they're going, fuck them. Who cares? We'll smash them next season. Wait and see. John would, of course, prefer the Europa League, but would take the Conference League all day long. Some great teams in there this year. Do you know what? It could actually be harder to probably win the Europa League than it would be to win the. It might be harder to win the Conference League than it would be to win the Europa League. Aaron, we can't have Saturday night football because of drinking and trouble. What, like most other nights? But good point. WHU, I'd be happy for Euro Conference football. Lots of different away days and another final to aim for. Get that passport ready for Kazakhstan. That might be the first game we'll be going to. Aaron, that's why there's never big games on a Friday night. But they did try Friday nights as well, didn't they? Martin, Saturday, Sunday night football is a great idea. Would it be a policing issue though? That's a good point as well. Good evening to you, Dan. I hope you're well. The Saturday 8 p.m. is meant to become a regular thing next week. There you go. I didn't know that. So there you go. Hopefully, I would rather us play. Well, no, I would actually rather us play on the Sunday evening. But if you're going to choose between a Sunday afternoon, no atmosphere, or a Saturday night when, as Aaron said, everyone's really pissed up, what would you go for? Ballon Dawson, we could learn a lot from Frankfurt, their fans in the ground early, making an atmosphere. Ours turn up 5 minutes before the start and moan about queues. Do you know, you've got a valid point there. Me and the other guys, Mark and Wiggy and all that, we were talking about the same thing. No way would you get English fans turning up an hour before a game, getting all psyched up, getting ready for the game, etc. No way would it happen. It's the culture. It's a cultural thing. But fair play to them. You're absolutely right. We could learn an awful lot. Pam, last comment on Norwich. I was in the Barclays stand with Norwich fans, and it was lovely to hear the praise of Rice. He's in a class of his own. He's running rings around Norwich. Yeah. He is in a class of his own, which is why he's worth 150 million to 175 million pounds. Did I make that up? Hey, David, West Ham do not get the credit they deserve for all sorts of reasons. Pick out one. When is the last time a Premier League club actually did well, both in the Premier League and Europa League, and coped without playing Thursday and Sunday? You're absolutely spot on, because a lot of teams, Wolves suffered and Leicester suffered. And what we've done is we've got all the way to the semi-final, nearly making it to the final, and also still within a shout of top 6 spot. And with a small squad as well. You're absolutely right. That is great effort. Bradley, Fornals has been amazing this season. He's been an absolute diamond. A lot of players. We'll do, at the end of the season, we'll do a show about what we all think, who's been the best player, etc., etc. And maybe we'll get some guests on and talk about who their best player is at the end of the season. Mark, Benrahma's an average Premier League player, getting a proper left winger. He could get better. Could he not? Fred, just clocked your new show. Nice to see you still. Thank you for joining, Fred. Much appreciated, mate. And thank you for finding me. Sean, he has the ump with you because you messaged me and not. Oh, he hasn't got the ump. You're winding yourself up. Sean, Areola wins the Save of the Season award for vital stop against Seville. Give me an exclusive, Sean. Is he signed permanently or not yet? Fred, Benny's stats for season not too bad. If he stays, I think he will improve next season. I agree with you. Archie, will Moyes stick with 4-3-3 next season? No, he won't. He won't. But then again, we don't want him to be that one-dimensional, do we? We want him to play 5 at the back if it's needed. We want him to play a 3-5-2. We want him to play a 4-4-1-1. We want him to play a formation that's going to suit a game. I quite like the fact that he played 4-3-3 at the weekend. Trini, did someone mention Bagley's? Oh my God, we have a crossbar. Yeah, I was there. I used to go. Oh, God, how old am I? Let's scroll down. Good evening to you, Pat. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining as well. Right, let's get on to the next part of the show, shall we? Which is... So, for the last time this season, I'm going to mention the women's team and the academy teams as well. The women's team at the weekend played against Arsenal, and it was another defeat. But you know what? They have finished in their highest league position in the women's league in 6th place. So, congratulations to them, despite losing their last game of the season. Also, at the end of the game, Ollie Harder announced that he was leaving West Ham to go on to Pastures New, and Paul Konchesky is now the new manager of the women's team. So congratulations to him. He's on a 2-year contract, and we wish him the best of luck. Also leaving the women's team is Jill Flaherty. Jill Flaherty joined West Ham when the women's professional team was formed. She's been captain all the way up until this season, and she's moving on to Pastures New, and we wish her well as well. The under-18s, not to be outdone by the senior team, the under-18s took on Norwich in their last game of the season, and they too smashed them 4-0. They have had an absolutely tremendous season. Congratulations to them. They didn't manage to overhaul Southampton in first position, but they finished second. And given the fact that they considered themselves to be targeting around sixth place in the league, they have done immensely well. So the under-23s finished their season as runners-up to Man City. The under-18s have finished their season to runners-up to Southampton. The women's team have got their highest finish in their league in 6th place. And it's all down now to West Ham United to finish 6th in the Premier League, and it will be rosy all round. Right, so Callum Marshall got the Hammers off to a flying start. scoring within 10 minutes of the game. Junior Robinson doubled the lead at the start of the second half with Jamal Baptiste. He's dropped down to the under 18s, quite surprisingly. But Jamal Baptiste got the third, making it moments later. And then Robinson was back on the score sheet again on the 65th minute with a great solo effort to finish the game off 4-0. Well done to them. Absolutely fantastic. Now, a bit of general news. Have you heard about the UK Athletics looking to possibly quit the London Stadium? Now, that's quite an interesting story because if they do, there's been, I mentioned a few weeks ago, talk about reconfiguring the West Stand and how it didn't really look like it was going to be reconfigured at all. All they're doing is just adding some extra expensive seats at the top in the top row. But this might change things altogether. Now, I don't know if how far plans are for changing the West Stand. But with UK Athletics making a decision probably by the end of this season. Now, I don't know if that's at the end of the athletic season or the football season, but with them considering leaving the London Stadium, that leaves the door wide open for the London Stadium to be converted into a proper footballing stadium. Can it be done? I think it can be done. Their plans at the moment for the West Stand, rubbish. But because it's going to bring the fans no closer, you're not going to get rid of that curve. It won't bring the fans any closer to the playing area, to the pitch. But with this news that the UK Athletics are looking to leave the London Stadium, of course they'll be compensated and whatever. With UK Athletics looking to leave, there's a huge possibility now that West Ham United can start looking at turning this stadium into a proper footballing stadium. So watch out for that news and let's see what happens. Also, got to mention it very, very briefly. It looks like Chelsea have been bought by American billionaire and Los Angeles Dodgers co-owner Tom Bowley, and his consortium seem to have won the race to buy the club for a deal of over £4 billion. A few years ago, it was rumoured that Bowley was interested in West Ham United. Look, whether that rumour was true or not, I have absolutely no idea. The purchase of Chelsea by yet another American owner means that the Premier League will now have, including Fulham, who have been promoted, 8 American owners in the Premier League. Now, what does that mean moving forward? Well, inevitably, the ugly head of the European Super League will will come back sooner rather than later. Now, I know UEFA have made changes to the Champions League so that they can, keep this Super League at bay, and they're desperate, aren't they? They're desperate to keep all these so-called richer teams, bigger teams in their competition rather than allowing them to go off and form their own league. But it's going to happen. The more American owners that come into the Premier League, the more likely that a Super League will be formed. And Bowley, I'm sure, with his cohorts that run Liverpool, who else? There's Liverpool being owned by Americans, Man United, of course, Fulham, of course, have got owners, American owners. Leeds United have got a 44% American owners with a 44% stake in the team. So I think it's only a matter of time, really, before we actually see this Super League come back and take over from the Champions League. Right. Let's see what else we got before I go on to the next part of the show. GP, get Charlie on from Hammers Chat, or that Scottish guy, or that pinball shed man. No. Stell, have you seen the news that the Athletics apparently, mate, did you read my script or what? Good evening, Trev. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining. Mark, Bagley's and Limelights on Shaftesbury Avenue, gurning my face off. I don't know what gurning means. Dab, sorry I can't, I keep saying it. Sorry I can't put up every comment, but I'll try and get through as many as I can. Dabs, I'm sorry, but our women's team are rubbish and the West Ham disabled team will beat them. Dabs, mate. They finished 6th. That's not bad. That's not bad. And Konchesky is going to turn him into league winners next season. David, what does everyone think about the tickets on their phones? I did all right, but what about you? I assume it will happen next season. Tickets on the phones. Well, that's been running for home games. That's been going on for quite a few years. And it's actually, you know what? You get used to it. You get accustomed to it, to be quite honest with you. Pat, I've just finished my positive thinking course. It was Pam, it would be good for athletics to quit, get the track off, and do what's going to happen. What was going to happen originally? Put seats there instead. Absolutely. They've got to do it. They've got to do it. Peter, if you can get in an architect and structural engineer, anything is achievable. Absolutely agree. Dabs, Baptiste has been moved down to the under 18s, I think, because Greenidge is our other centre back, has been doing so well. That's a good point. Good shout, because Greenidge, you're absolutely right, has been playing quite a few under 23 games. And Levi Lang as well has been playing quite a few under 23 games as a centre back as well. Good evening, Adam. Hope you're well, mate. No problem. Everyone's entitled to be late every now and again. You know I'm always late, so welcome, mate. Good evening to you, Peter. If you get in a good architect and structural engineer, anything is possible. I think I might have mentioned that already. I did. Thank you for that, mate. Black Country, working at Birmingham Athletics today. Rumour mill is Aston Villa women will be playing there next season. Playing where? At Birmingham. You mean at the Birmingham? Not at London Stadium, surely, no. Or have I misunderstood you? Richard, too many American owners. Look at the MLS in USA to see the future. Yeah, it's going to happen. The Super League is going to happen. Pat, no more drawn matches with all the Americans. Penalty shootouts after a draw. Fantastic. Let's go completely American, shall we? Anthony, we will have to dig down about 20 feet to put in. Well, we can't. We can't dig down 20 feet because of the water that's underneath. So that can't happen. But I'm sure there are other ways of being able to reconfigure the stadium to get the seats a lot closer. Mark, Super League split the game into quarters for ad breaks and hot dog sellers. We've got popcorn. We've got hot dog as well. So we're halfway there, mate. James, still, that was on the cards when Birmingham were awarded the Commonwealth and subsequently pumped tens of millions into their stadium revamp. GSB in. BCEH, get rid of Super Six. Yeah, you know what? I said that before when this whole rumor about, excuse me, gone. When this whole rumor first came up about the European Super League, I said, let them go. You know, that means you'll have a much more competitive Premier League, and UEFA should continue with their European competitions and have new champions. You know, and then we get a new elite, don't we? You know, that's how it should work. Let them go, because people will sooner or later, they'll get bored of watching AC Milan against Liverpool and Real Madrid. It'll be a nice novelty for the first few years, and then the novelty will wear off. Garino, not to mention retractable pitches with an American gridiron and music bearing out every time you get Daniela, everyone doing tickets on phones since COVID. Yeah, and it was going to happen before COVID anyway, from what I've been told. John, Etihad Stadium and Luzhniki Stadium both started as athletic stadium with running tracks. No reason why we can't make a decent stadium out of the London Stadium if we own it. I totally agree. Garino, super toilet bowl every summer with talent. Football with Brownie. Good evening to you, mate. Hope you're well. Good luck with it. Thank you very much. Just wanted to say well done on your European adventure from a Cardiff fan. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. WHU would like to see the return of standing areas. They're coming in. The standing areas have already been installed. We're waiting for the government to give the go-ahead to have standing areas again, or to be allowed to do it. Adam, the women's team is a work in progress, just like our club, a work in progress. Well said. Sharky, Noble to get a big send-off on Sunday. He deserves it as well. Absolutely. RG, let them go, wave them off. I'm assuming you mean the Athletics. Absolutely agree. Good evening to you, Mandy. How are you? Thank you for joining. Oi, oi to you as well. Black Country, no, still Aston Villa playing. Oh, okay. I thought that's what you meant. Thank you for that. Anil, has Noble been overused or underused this season? He's been used in the correct way, because every time he's come on, every time he's played, he's been really, really good. So I would say he's been used about the right sort of percentage. Peter, these people should tell us things we don't know. We know GSB are. Well done, Peter. Right, let's move on to Christ, I'm running through this show tonight. Let's move on to Player Watch. So let's get on to some playing news, shall we? First of all, Saeed Benrahma was seen on crutches as he left the stadium, Norwich Stadium, at the weekend, which doesn't bode well, does it? Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier in the show there were three players that picked up injuries in the Norwich game. Craig Dawson, he looked shaken by ramming into the advertising boards. Antonio went down and he got a knock on the hip. But Benrahma is the most serious of the three. Moyes has suggested that all three should be okay, but Benrahma had a scan today, and we're waiting for news as to what that scan has revealed. Definitely Antonio and Dawson will be fit for the game against Man City at the weekend. But we're really hoping that Benrahma overcomes the knock that he had. Maybe he was on crutches just to be on the safe side, but he did look quite delicate, didn't he, as he was being helped off the pitch. So usually, if he's twisted that ankle, that's going to be a couple of weeks out, so he might quite possibly miss the end of this season. But the scan itself will reveal just how severe the injury is, and hopefully we'll have some further news tomorrow. Or if Sean, if you're watching, you can give me the news now and give everyone an exclusive for the people watching. Right, loan news. Conor Coventry, his last game for MK Dons was the other day. The promotion dreams are over. They lost to Wickham. I think it was overall 3-1 on aggregate. Shame, because Conor Coventry has come in and he's done absolutely fantastic for the MK Dons. He's been really pivotal to their midfield this season, and well done to him. Now, what happens with Conor Coventry, we don't know. He is in his he's got one season left on his contract. Now, I've said incorrectly 2 seasons in a row that I thought he was going to break through into the first team. He's had such a great time at MK Dons. Let's see what happens in the summer. With 1 year left on his contract, it could go one of a number of ways. Conor Coventry could either be sold, so we get a little bit of money for him. He could be given an opportunity to see what he can do in the first team, and I think the summer pre-season is going to be quite telling to see what happens with him there. Or he could be sent out on loan again, but then run his contract out at the end of next season. So we wish him well. I hope he comes back. I think he could be. Many people say he could be the replacement for Mark Noble. He can learn the trade, behind the likes of Declan Rice, etc. And we'll see what happens. Another player out on loan, Joseph Anang. He kept his 7th clean sheet of the season. He's out on loan to St Patrick's Athletic in the Irish League, and they beat Drogheda United 4-0 at the weekend. So well done to him as well. Right now, goalie situation. We all a bit confusing, because I remember a few months ago we were told that a Fabianski had signed an extended contract for another year, but now we're being told that that's not the case and he's yet to sign. And apparently he's yet to sign because he wants guarantees of being the #1 keeper for next season. Now look, he's been a great servant for us, Fabianski. But he's 37 years of age now. You do get your body gets a bit slower as you get older. And I don't think any player can really demand to be first choice keeper or first choice player in any position. If you're in form, you keep your position. If you're not in form, then you'll be dropped and someone else will come in. So it's a bit confusing, because I thought that we were told quite a few months ago that he actually had signed an extended contract, and now it's being suggested that perhaps he hasn't, because he's not receiving the guarantees that he wants to be the #1 keeper. Is that true or not? I don't know, but that's the speculation that's out there. And then that puts us on to Areola. I think, for me, Alphonse Areola has proven himself to be a #1 worthy keeper. He has done really, really well for us in the time that he's in the games that he's played for us. I think he's been a tremendous goalie, and I think, as Sean said, save of the season has got to go to Areola in that save to keep us in the game against Seville in the Europa League. Look, as it stands, apparently there's interest by Fulham. He was out on loan to them last season, and there's interest in taking him back there. PSG are currently subsidising his wages at West Ham. They will also subsidise his wages when he was at Fulham. And many people are saying you can't have a keeper on 120, 125 grand a week. And I say, if we're meant to be going to the next level, then why not? We are looking at bringing players in that we're going to probably have to pay 80, 90, 100 grand a week for. So why not a keeper? If a keeper is worthy of being the number one keeper, then why not pay for him? But there's this confusion again. If Fabianski is given the number one spot, then clearly Fabianski isn't earning what Areola's earning, and that's where people say is the problem. You can't have a number two earning more money than the number one. I say the number two is worthy of being our number one. I think he's been a tremendous keeper for us, and I, for one, would really like to see him become a permanent fixture at West Ham. Now, there is another option. We were told a few weeks back that maybe Areola will come back for another loan spell. Would that be to appease Fabianski? Again, I don't know if that's the right thing to do, to be quite honest with you. As I said, I think Fabianski has been a tremendous servant for us. I think he's been great, but sometimes it's just time to move on. It really is. Or it's time to take the back seat and become the number two keeper. I would like to see Areola become a permanent fixture at West Ham. There's rumour about other keepers. Sam Johnston's been suggested. I think I did about 3 weeks ago. I talked about the various keepers that are available. Sam Johnston would be the cheapest option. He'd be on a free. He'd be a free agent. He's on low wages. He's on about 40 grand a week. So he's an option. If Burnley go down, then quite possibly Nick Pope could be an option. He'll be on about 50, 60, 70,000 pound a week, but he'll demand a fee of maybe 25, 30 million pounds. And then if Everton go down, there's Pickford, but Pickford would be the most expensive of the lot because Everton would expect a fee of around 30 odd million pounds, and he himself is on about 100 grand a week. So you look at all those comparisons, and for me, why not Areola? He's already become part of the team. The team know him. The team trust him. You can see he commands his box. He does really, really well. He's a great shot stopper. He commands the 18-yard box. I think apart from games like Kidderminster, one of the early games in the season where he didn't really do that well, you can't put him at fault. He's been fantastic for us. And I would like to see, even if he is on high wages, maybe a negotiation with Areola, maybe offer him the number one spot and, maybe negotiate maybe a slightly lower salary if he's willing to accept that. I wouldn't be surprised that if he doesn't stay with us, there wouldn't be a shortage of teams wanting to take him on. I think he's been excellent for us. Right, let's move on. Jared Bowen. Apparently, Jared Bowen has interest from AC Milan. But AC Milan think that Jared Bowen is worth £25 million. Now, where did they get that from? This is why I laugh when the transfer season starts looming on us, because you do read some absolute tosh. And this is one piece of absolute tosh. Maybe they forgot to put the one in front of the 25, and maybe they should have quoted that they think he's worth 125 million rather than 25 million. He's developed well. He's been exceptional, hasn't he, for us at this season? And of course, there's going to be interest in players like Bowen, and that's good for West Ham. That David Moyes has nurtured some great players, Declan and Jared Bowen as well. So yeah, no, he's not going to AC Milan for £25 million. And then, of course, Antonio Conte has an interest in Thomas Souček. No less. Apparently Souček, if we receive an offer of 40, 45 million pounds, we'd be willing to sell him. As many people have suggested, we can't really afford to sell players at the moment. We need to bring at least 5 or 6 players in next season in order just to stand still. Rumours in Spurs. I mean, we wouldn't offer Souček to Spurs anyway, would we? Or would we for £40 million? I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of truth in that rumour either. Right, before I go into the last part of the show, which is transfer rumours, let's see what else you have to say. Pat, I've just bought the Millwall end of season DVD, 100 greatest. RG, standing areas to fill in all the gaps, capacity up to 80,000. I like that one, RG. So long as we don't fall down those massive gaps there, that's a possibility. There must be something in that, yeah. Who else we got? Mandy. Exciting end to the season still. It is. If Palace win and we beat Brighton, we get 6 and demote Man United to the Conference League. I think we will do it. I mentioned earlier on, Mandy, that I think we're in with a big shout. I know there's a concern about Wolves, but Wolves have got to play Man City and Liverpool in 2 of their last 3 games. Palace. They could. Man United are really a team that is low on confidence at the moment. Man United going away to Palace is not a nailed on. They could lose that game pretty easily. And for us, we've got to break the bogey team, haven't we? We've got to beat them sooner or later, Brighton. And we might get something out of Man City as well. Epic. There's no goalie dilemma. Fabianski isn't good enough. You say, well, I know you've said that all along, Epic, and I respect you for keeping to your guns there. Richard, in American soccer, everything is sponsored: free kicks, goal kicks, throw-ins, penalties. God, that's why their games go on for about 15 hours. Tyler, Longello should have had a few games next season as a number 2 and get a new left back in. I think I mentioned this last week. I think a number of our youngsters will go out on loan next season, and Longello might be one of them. But again, I'll do an update on that when the season is at an end and I've got more time to do specialist shows about the under 23, about the academy, about players leaving, about players coming in, etc. But what I will be doing a lot more of is transfer stories. You know you love them. You know you want to hear all the crap that I find in the corners, the dark corners of the websites. We're linked with a 6-legged dinosaur that's going to play left back and all those sorts of stories. Anil, if Benrahma is fit, would you drop him for Souček against Man City? No, I actually don't think I would, but I think Souček will probably play. I wouldn't drop him, but I think Moyes would rather go for Souček against Man City to try and keep it tight. Pat, he kicks Sam Byram studs. I would imagine it's his metatarsal. If it is, he's out until the next season. Bradley, I'm predicting Benny's injury is just bruising because he kicked the man instead of the ball, maybe a week out. See, look at those difference of opinions. You think it's a metatarsal, you think it might just be a bruise. I don't know which is true, but hopefully the scan will tell us sooner rather than later. Mark, Benrahma makes one challenge all season. It's a scan. Come on, leave the guy alone. I think he did absolutely well. Black Country thinks Benrahma is going to be out for the season. Epic. I hope we don't extend Fabianski's contract. I don't know what's going on there because I'm convinced we were told a few months ago that he had already signed it. Garino, WHU heard there may be some radioactive waste material down there. What did WHU say? Garino, lowering the pitch, never thought of that. Good idea. We can't lower the pitch because there's nothing to go down to. I heard that maybe some radioactive waste material down there, so we may have to get a few ex-Chernobyl or Fukushima engineers in as well. Correct, radioactive waste. Really? First I've heard of that. James, it'll be a shame if Benny fell short of 10 goals through injury. It would be. It would be. Fred, we could easily get 100,000 plus attendance at home if it could be done. I don't know, Do you know what I found really disappointing? I know people can't always get to every game. I know that. I accept that. But I think what I found a little bit disappointing, especially with our Sunday games, was just how many empty seats there were against teams like Arsenal a few weeks ago. A few years ago, that would have been a massive game for us. But everyone was complaining about not being able to get semi-final tickets for the Europa League. And yet there was space against Arsenal, And I know, and I think that's why I talked about Saturday night or Sunday night football, because I think more people will go to games like that. There's something about Sunday afternoon football that people just don't like. Pam, could we get 100,000 in? I don't know. I don't know. Pam, Areola has more height than Fabianski and should be number 1. Sharky, you don't think Areola is staying? We don't know yet, mate. We don't know. Anthony, Fab was offered but not signed. No sad loss. He can't jump or catch a ball. I prefer Areola and Pope to fight it out. Good shout. Garino, when does the transfer window slam open? I actually don't know, mate. I actually don't know because I know our season starts really early, and I think that the transfer window opens very soon after the season ends, which could be kind of early June, something like that. Bradley, I was under the impression that Nipple is already a 2-year loan. No, no, apparently not. Apparently there are rumours that we could ask to keep him on loan for another season, but I don't think he's on a 2-year loan. But I could be wrong, Bradley. I could be wrong. There you go, Epic. June the 10th to September the 1st. What joy that's going to be. What joy. Bringing you all the shit stories that you've missed on all these different social media channels. Peter, apparently there's a yearly wage cap on the squad, fairly low. Well, I don't know. Yarmolenko's on 120 odd grand a week, and I know he'll be leaving at the end of the season. Anil, I've supported Fabianski throughout his tenure, and if we attain top 6 finishes, I would still like to see Areola as our number 1 next season. Areola fills me with confidence. I agree with that. Tyler, Bowen won Player of the Season. Well done to, but because it's the awards, isn't it? So yeah, well done to him. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. Would you agree with that? Kieran, if it weren't for Pickford, Everton would already have been relegated. True, but I still don't want him at West Ham. Um, Fine. 25 million, you wouldn't get Jim Bone. If you've got any other awards, oh, maybe that's what Sean meant because Areola got save of the season. Now I get it because it's the player awards tonight. So Bowen got player of the season. If you've got any other news about the player awards, do let me know. Black Country, Masuaki to the Spuds. My car is ready and waiting to drive him there. um, Mandy, now we're established in Europe. Can we tell AC to get back on their horse? I think we can tell them a bit more than that. Jim Bone's dead, Martin. So he's not worth 25 million. Mark, I can see 150 million available to Moyes. Kretinsky has wiped out the debt and will give 150 million as a new personal loan. Look, there's always been money there. That I don't think there's been any doubt that there's always been money there. Will Moyes? The question I ask time and time again: if you give Moyes 100 million, 150 million, 200 million, will he be able to spend it? That's the question I always ask, and I'm not so sure that he can, or even if he'd want to. GP still looks younger than late for. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Because I'm always smiling. Daniela, standing areas will not happen if fans start misbehaving again. Well, the government are meant to rubber stamp it, because that's why West Ham and a few other stadiums have already put standing areas in the stadiums. Anthony, yes, they go out on loan, then get sold for a pittance. We want to see them play for us and given a chance. Good shout, yeah, for the youngsters. But yeah, I'll do a show specially about that because some of the youngsters have got a few years left on their contract, so maybe going out on loan for a season, then coming back to fight for a place in the senior team will make sense. Those who go out on loan, who only have a year left, you can more or less tell that they're not likely to be coming back. Adam, nicking 6 from Manure would top a great season. Absolutely would. Anil, we should have stopped dealing with Spurs when they stole Paul Allen off us. We're not going to sell anyone to Spurs. Hammerhead, well, I've been told that you can't. So now you're telling me that you can lower the pitch. I'll have to find out about that because I was told a few seasons ago that you can't lower the pitch because of the water that surrounds it. It wouldn't work. But I'll look into that. I will look into that. GP, I would lower Spurs pitch hell. Peter, 150 million the new guy has lent to us to plus the 100 million, plus 100 million spent over January, but we haven't spent over January. Yeah, we're not going to spend over 200 million. I'll be surprised if we spend 100 million. But, Peter, we can't afford some good wages instead of keep scrimping. I think we must be in a position to do so. Desmond, good evening to you. We could have a possible chance of finishing in 6. I totally agree, Desmond, and welcome to the show. By the way, people, because I always forget to do it, if you've yet to do so, please hit the like button. Please hit that subscribe button. I want to get to 1,000, and I'm I don't know, 720 or something like that. So if you have yet to do it, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Which would be lovely. Thank you. James. Fabs has had a decent season. My pet goldfish, Trevor, regularly rolls his eyes at certain followers of this show. Trev reckons that Benny is out for a month, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, let's see what the scan says. Fabs, he has had a good season. Yeah, no, I agree. But I do honestly think, we do need a new number 1 next season. keep him as a number 2. That's not a problem at all. WHA, we could sell a lot more season tickets if we could somehow get the stands closer and more tiered to the pitch. I agree. Well, I talked about that a little bit earlier. Right, so Dawson's player of the season now. Now, is this from the awards or what? Because someone mentioned earlier that Bowen's player of the season, or was that just your opinion? I don't know. Fred, lots don't even bother because so many knockbacks, people with season tickets giving it a miss. If guaranteed seats, trust me, it would be done. Um, do you think that knockbacks, people with season tickets give people with well, yeah, there are people with season tickets that do give it a miss. But it's the problem with the way that the season tickets are managed, isn't it? You know, if you can't make a game, you should put it back and let someone else attend. CC, good evening to you. I think I saw you at London Stadium Frankfurt game with your wife and son, section J near the popcorn stall, but was too shy to introduce myself. Was it you? Always enjoy your. Thank you, CC. I'm in section K. I do normally stand near the popcorn stand because I do like a bit of popcorn. Don't be shy. You know, if you see me and you think it's me, just come up and say hello. My problem is I'm like that goldfish that you've got, James. I forget people's names and faces and stuff like that. So I have people coming up to me going, "How are you, still?" And I go, yeah, "I'm fine." So and so. But if you see me, come up and say hello. Always a pleasure to say hello to people. Mark, repeating myself, incoming 4 to 5 free signings, 3 big signings. I think we'll get 5 signings in total. I think we need 6 players to stand still, but I think we'll get 5 signings in total. I think quite possibly 2 or 3 of them will be freebies. Ian, still can't get my head around the fact that kids are not being given a few minutes. Too late for that, isn't it? It should have happened. It should have happened. Get a shovel and dig. Good night to you, Peter. Thank you for joining, mate. Oh, your player of the season. Right. Thank you. Yeah, he's deserved it as well. Good evening to you, Pat Holland fan. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. And thank you for coming on to say hello. Mark, 9th highest spenders in the Premier League. January is hard. Top and bottom teams don't want to sell for obvious reasons. Moyes only wants the right fit. Lots leaving the summer. Moyes has to buy. There are so many players available in the summer, and what I'll do is I'll do a few I will do a few shows now that the season's coming to an end to talk about players that could be available. English Yardies, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. A little bit late, but always better late than never. I hope you're well, mate. I hope you're well. Sarif, just seen on Twitter at the West Ham Awards of the players walking down the stairs unaided, comfortably. Just seen on Twitter at the West Ham Awards of the players walking down the stairs unaided comfortably. I think he will be fine. Are you talking about Ben Rama? Here's an exclusive. Did you see Ben Rama walking down unaided? If he has, then he'll be ready for the weekend, won't he? Good news, that is. Let's go into the final part of the show. So I just don't know where to start with the transfer room. I really don't. As you regular viewers will know, I deliberately try and avoid talking about transfers whilst the season is still going on. But now that the season is coming to an end, I thought, okay, well, why not? And boy, oh boy, I wish I hadn't bothered, because where do you start? Where do you start? So all I did was I just looked at the last sort of 3 or 4 days stories, and some of them are the ones that you've already heard of many, many times before. There are 1 or 2 new ones. So let's just go into them, shall we? First up is a story that we've heard before. Look, is it true that we put in a bid for Kalvin Phillips in the January window? I really don't know. Many people are telling me that it did actually happen. And now Leeds United, look, apparently they offered they promised Kalvin Phillips a new contract, but that hasn't yet materialized, and now it looks like they're waiting to see whether they survive relegation or not, because they're not doing too well, are they, before they offer Phillips a renewed contract. Look, Phillips has still got 2 years left on his contract, but even if they do scrape, not getting relegated, would a £50 million offer tempt them to maybe look at rebuilding the squad? Buying other players by selling him. It's possible. It's possible. Would I want Kalvin Phillips? Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I think he's proven to be a great player for England. He's proven to be a great player for Leeds United. And would I like to see him lining up alongside Declan Rice at West Ham? Why not? Indeed, we know that we need a replacement for Mark Noble. We know that we need to be able to give players like Soucek, even Declan at times, a rest throughout the season. We can't just sort of drive our players into the ground game after game after game after game without any respite. And someone like Phillips would actually he would improve West Ham United. There are no two ways about it. You see the understanding he's got with Declan in the England team. Imagine bringing that understanding to West Ham United. He's a great player, Phillips, tidy player, good in the tackles, tenacious, good passing range, etc. So why not have him indeed? Will it happen? Will we go back in for him this summer? Um, I guess we'll try our hand. What I wouldn't like to see is that we try our hand right at the death, and then say it didn't happen. What I want to see in this transfer window is deals being done like that straight away. Okay, £50 million or whatever we might offer for him will take a bit of negotiating. A team won't want to sell, etc., etc. And sometimes the selling team might hold out. I get all that, but for other players, if we got freebies, we should be tapping them up now, or when it's legally possible to do so. And we've got to start sort of bringing in some of these players sooner rather than later. I don't want to be biting my nails, like few hours to go before the transfer window shuts and we're still negotiating, deals with players. I don't want that at all. Christian Pulisic, interesting, very interesting one. There's been rumour that we are interested in Christian Pulisic. Now, of course, we've got to know what's going to happen with Chelsea and whether this buyout happens and whether the sanctions are taken away and all that sort of stuff. But would you have Pulisic? I think he's a very, very talented player at 23 years of age. Um, Apparently his value's gone down. Do I believe 40 million? I think that seems a little bit cheap considering his age and considering his ability. But he's contracted till 2024. Maybe Chelsea, when they start being able to negotiate deals again, might be interested in selling him and getting some money back for him. He's a versatile player, attack-minded, plays as a striker, second striker, attacking midfielder. He's the USA captain. He's had in his career so far at Chelsea 112 appearances, 24 goals, 19 assists is very good. This season alone, in 35 appearances, 7 goals, 5 assists. Given that he doesn't play regularly in the team, and this is his gripe, I wonder how much better his stats would be if he was a regular starter. And why not? We need fast players. We need agile players. We need players that can be versatile in the positions that they play in. I take him all day long. I think he's a nice little neat player that we could do with. Right, I said in the intro, I said German connection. There are 3 players today that were spoken about who all ply their trade in German leagues. Taiwo Awoniwi, Ni Awonyi, Taiwo Awonyi. I knew I was going to get that wrong. Striker for Union Berlin. Doesn't say how long he's contracted to. He only signed for them permanently last year, valued at around about £15 million, 24 years of age. Now, Awonyi signed for Liverpool back in 2015, I believe, when he was 17. He signed from the Imperial Academy in Nigeria for a fee of about £900,000. But at the time of his signature, through till when he got sold, Liverpool kept having problems with getting him a work permit. Now, he's been sent out on loan to a numerous amount of clubs. He's gone to FSV Frankfurt, Ghent, Mainz, and Union Berlin, to mention just a few. He's made 64 appearances for Union Berlin so far, 23 goals, 9 assists. And in this season alone, 42 appearances, 18 goals, and 5 assists. He's got experience at the Bundesliga. He's a Nigerian international. He is regarded as a very talented footballer. And when you read his playing style, you start thinking about Antonio. Tireless workhorse, really strong physical player. He's 6'1". He uses his body to sort of muscle defenders out of the way. He's got explosive power. He's got a goal. He's got a goal striker instinct, poacher's instinct. Very level-headed, very calm, and someone quite interesting. Maybe someone like that could potentially be a player that we might be looking at more seriously. Another player in the German league, in the Bundesliga, is left back David Raum from Hoffenheim. Now he only joined Hoffenheim last July, and he signed an extended contract. He went on a free, but then in January of this year he signed an extended contract with the club till 2026, and he's had a £30 million buyout clause put in his contract. 24 years of age, he is quite prolific. This young lad. He plays primarily left wing back, but he can also play as a left back as well. He's got a fantastic engine on him, a fantastic work rate, great at set pieces and crossing of the ball, bit like Creswell. Creates many chances and assists. He's fast. He's got speed. He's got speed to burn, and sounds like a very, very interesting player. He went to Hoffenheim from a club called Greuther Fürth. He made 99 appearances for them, scoring 6 goals and 23 assists for that team. And as you can see in the stats in front of you, he's made overall appearances, 133 senior career appearances, 9 goals, 36 assists for a left back or a left wing back, which is no mean feat. This season alone, 34 appearances, 3 goals, 13 assists. 13. The Bundesliga is not a crap league. You know, he's a German international to boot as well. Very, very interesting sounding player. By the way, there's a whole plethora of teams that are interested in him as well, not just West Ham United. And the last of the three German links is 25-year-old Jeremiah St. Just, or is known as Jerry. Central defender for Mainz, contracted with them till 2023. He also has a buyout clause of about £20 million. Now, he's missed an awful lot of this season because of a shoulder injury. So he's missed a massive, he's only played something like, he's made 7 appearances this season, but he's still very highly regarded. He's a very versatile footballer. He can play as a right back. He was sold when he played at Feyenoord before he moved to Mainz. He was used primarily as a right back. When he's moved to Mainz, he's played primarily as a centre back, and he can also play as a holding midfielder. But his primary position is central defender. Now, for a defender, he's extremely pacey. Apparently, he was clocked as being the fastest footballer in the German league. I don't know how they did it, but you know all these stats anyway. He's very, very fast. He's very, very comfortable on the ball, and he can play the ball out of defence. Very much a modern day type central defender. His average stats for this season: 1.5 tackles, 1.8 interceptions. You can see it there, and not a bad pass success rate of 78%. Bundesliga experience. He's also played for the Netherlands under 21s. Next up, bit closer to home, Armando Broja. As you all know, it's not the first time we've been linked with him. Contracted with Chelsea till 2026, valued at maybe a little bit more than £10 million now. Apparently, we're definitely in the running for him, aren't we? Well, we're definitely in running for all players, by the sounds of it. He's had a really decent season for Southampton. Still only 20 years of age, still learning his trade. But we've seen up for ourselves what he's like. He's quite a brute up front. He's strong. He's powerful. Southampton are looking to sign him permanently as well. Chelsea have yet to decide on his future. But it's quite possible with whatever's going on at Chelsea that him and the likes of Gallagher as well, out on loan, could go back to Chelsea and maybe make maybe try and get into the first team there. But I don't know. Chelsea, they're likely to sort of, if they let Lukaku go, they're likely to go and waste their money on yet another really expensive striker. So will Broja get a look in? Probably not. Appearances this season: 37 appearances, 9 goals, 1 assist, and he's an Albanian international to boot. And of course, the story that we spoke about probably a year and a half ago, maybe longer, is Ben Brereton Diaz, a striker at Blackburn. His contract runs out at the end of this season. So there's no value on him because he'll come as a free agent, still only 22 years of age. Apparently, Alan Irvine, who is no longer the assistant manager for West Ham, he left that spot, but he still does some work, some talent spotting for West Ham United. Apparently, Alan Irvine went to watch Brereton Diaz in a game for Blackburn Rovers. He's at the end of his contract, like I say. He'll be a free agent. And he's also a very versatile footballer. He's had a great season. He's had a great season, which was recognised also by Chile. He was eligible to play for Chile through his on his mother's side. So he's a Chilean international. Try saying that when you're sober. This is Blackburn career stats so far: 127 games, appearances, 31 goals, 12 assists. This season alone, 39 appearances, 22 goals, 3 assists. Great ball carrying skills, versatile footballer. He plays a bit like Bowen does on the other side of the pitch, where he cuts in from the left-hand side. Decent speed, he shields the ball well, and he came second to Mitrovic as the top striker in the championship. And there you have it. That's my show for tonight. Let's go into the last few comments that you have. Let's scroll down. Tyler. Let's go from there. Bowen plays player of the Bowen's player of the Bowen is players player of the season. Rice is hammer of the year. Well done to him. Areola best save. Dawson best performance versus Leon. Well done to them all. Adam, good evening to you. All I want is some squad depth for next season. Moyes has done so well with what he's got. Absolutely agree with you, mate. But I said earlier on, with the number of players that are leaving because they're at end of their contracts, etc., we need at least 5 or 6 just to stand still. But if those 5 or 6 are decent talent, then we'll have that squad depth, won't we? Kieran, if we dig down, we could have a pitch like the old days. Yeah, and have another chicken run maybe. What else have we got here? Anthony, today's players are soft, nothing like playing on a mud pitch in the 70s. I know. If you watch the old match of the day or the big match shows that are sometimes shown on TV, you look at the pictures and you think, how on earth did anyone manage to play football? GP, 50 million, no thanks for Phillips. Would you not have him in your team? I don't know. Black Country. Leeds in deep trouble. Who knows? Great recruit. I think he might come a bit cheap. If they get relegated, they might need to sell him for less. Mandy, Leeds will want 70 million for Phillips, and I would love to see him alongside Declan and maybe Soucek as well. How strong would that make us with them 3? Absolutely agree. But 70 million, I don't think we'd go for that. Kamara, yeah. Kamara, this is where the rumors start, and Kamara would be a fantastic fit. I didn't mention him in the show, but Kamara, who currently plays for Marseille, is a fantastic little player who plays for Marseille. End of season contract. His contract ends at the end of this season, and I would love him to come to West Ham United and Villa apparently. But I tell you what, he could be destined for, a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or somewhere like that. He is that good, Kamara. English Yardie. Matthew Cornett from Burnley, the forward. I like him. He's shifty and crafty. If Leeds go down, I would love to see him and Declan together, but greedy 6 won't like that. Who cares about the greedy bloody 6? But Cornett, I kind of dissed him a few weeks ago, but I changed my mind when I saw how he played. I took a bit more notice of him, and I agree. Nice little player. Good evening, Panny. Diganis. Hola, gala. Nice to have you back. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Howard, 35 million, no more for Phillips. If they go down, they might have to sell him a bit cheaper. Adam, is everyone and their cat and Newcastle? It's everyone and their cat and Newcastle have already made 2 bids. Jay Woods, 35 to 40 million would be realistic. quite possibly for Phillips. Black Country, yeah, if we get him for 70 pence. By the way, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to be shameless. Please hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Anthony, if Leeds go down, Bamford, Phillips and Rafinha have relegation release clauses around 30 million. Leeds are crap in relegation. It will lose them about 20 million per player. Well, Bamford, nah. Rafinha lost his cool, didn't he? Was like a kid in a, didn't like what he did the other day in the game. He kept running around the ref until he got booked. But apparently, people are saying that Rafinha's got his heart set on Barcelona. Whether they would buy him or not, I really don't know. Phillips, 30 million relegation clause. I'll take him for that. Good evening, Scott Andrew. I hope you're well, mates. Good evening, my good brothers and good sisters. Come on, you irons. Nice win for Noble on his birthday, and a nice way to bounce back from the disappointment of Thursday. Absolutely, mate. Thank you for joining, Scott. Much appreciated. Daniela, Man United fans think they can get Phillips for 25 million. They're fucking idiots. More chance of getting Christian Eriksen. Well, he's on a free as well. Would you take him? Would you forgive him for ever playing for Spurs? Yeah, if he does the business for us. He's been great, hasn't he, for Brentford? He's on a free. Yeah, it's a possibility of that one as well. Jay Woods, Pope, Lingard, Tarkowski, Hickey, Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Watkins. Ivan Toney, if we can't get Watkins. I don't think we're going to be in with a chance of Watkins or Toney, to be quite honest with you. Pope, only if Burnley go down. Doesn't look like only if Burnley go down, we might have a chance. Lingard, I haven't mentioned him for a while, but yeah, I still think he's on his way. Tarkowski, I think he'll probably go to Newcastle. Hickey from what Italian team does he play for? Decent little player. Yeah, possible. Loftus-Cheek, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure about him. Watkins, I'd love to have, but I don't think Aston Villa will sell him. Ivan Toney, I wouldn't mind having, but again, I don't. I mean, there's all this talk about Ben Rama being swapped for Ivan Toney. I don't know. Epic. Isn't Rafinha a flair player? I doubt Moyes will want him. He's got to be a hard worker as well, which is why I'm not so sure. When we heard the rumours that we offered 50 million for him and 50 million for Phillips in the January window, I was like, Phillips, I can understand, but Rafinha, I'm not so sure. Trini. If Phillips does move, I have a feeling he will join the moneybags revolution at Newcastle. I'm not so sure, mate. I'm not so sure. Martin Nketiah of Arsenal looks very good, and I hear he is also another player that's out of contract at the end of this season. And now that he's been given a taste and a chance at Arsenal, he said, I just want to play. He's an Arsenal boy, and all he said is, I just want a chance. And apparently, he spoke really well. He said, if I play and I don't play well, I'll be dropped, but give me the chance to play. And he's been given a chance, and maybe Arsenal are now beginning to think twice about letting him go. GP Chelsea will want 50 million lease for Pulisic, quite possibly. So where this 40 million came from, I don't know. But yeah, I would agree with you there. Jay Woods, I would love Belotti on a free, but Moyes doesn't fancy him. Yeah, Belotti, so many names have been bandied around over the past year or two. Would he fit our style of football? Maybe not. Maybe Moyes doesn't see that. Mark Badiashile, I kept out of today's show. I talked about him in the January window as well. I think might have talked about him in the summer as well. Kamara and Nunes, they're all my three wishes. Badiashile is still learning his trade, 21 years old, currently plays for Monaco as a centre back. Decent. Kamara, I would love. Nunes, why not? I think if you're going to fork out decent money for a decent striker, but Nunes himself has said he wants to go to a Champions League club, and I think Man United and maybe one or two others are maybe interested in him as well. Why is my battery about to die? Hopefully not. Hang on a minute, people. Am I plugged in? I am now. I wasn't a minute ago. Moyes is interested in Januzaj on a free. I'm not so sure about that one. I did read that again, I think last season. Give me a second, because I don't want to be. Right, just making sure. Might just disappear. just like that, because the battery on my thing it was about to go. I really hope Declan Rice stays with us. I believe it's already been confirmed that he will. How much money does someone need? Because money isn't everything. The enjoyment of the team. Look, I think we can put that rumor to rest at the moment. I think more. I think Declan himself, in the interview that he gave after the Frankfurt game, he talked about, this club deserves more. This club, deserves to be in European football. We go again next season, he said. We go again. He didn't have to say that. I think he's committed for another year. I'm pretty certain of it. And the transfer window is really important, because you get decent players around him. You make this team tick. You go that next stage. He might want to stay even longer. David, Young Hammer of the Year, now renamed the Mark Noble Young Hammer of the Year, went to Ben Johnson. Fantastic. Well done to him as well. GP, Raum's been one of the best left backs in Germany. Defo worth a bid. Absolutely. He looks dynamite. Iron. Kral got signing of the year. Mandy, we don't pay 30 million for fullbacks. Last three were 5 million each in a freebie. That is true. That is true. Jay Woods, paying 30 million for Vlasic was a waste. He just didn't come good, did it? Unfortunately. Trini, Raum gets great attacking stats, but what are his defensive stats like? Pretty good. Pretty good. I didn't put them up, but he takes his defensive duties seriously. He's not another Masuaku. He takes his defensive duties very seriously, and yeah, he's a pretty solid defender to boot. Scott, well done, Ben Johnson. Lovely tribute to rename the trophy after Mr. Noble. Yeah, fantastic that. WHU Broja would be a great signing for us. David M. Declan official Hammer of the Year. Well done to him. Scott again. David, this is brilliant and well deserved. His earthly mother and father should be awfully proud of Declan, because God bless Declan Rice, amen, and God bless his earthly family, amen. Well said, mate. Let's see. Chris, good evening to you, mate. I'd be happy with Tarkowski, Cornet, Dennis, and Brownhill. Moyes, make it happen. Brownhill out of the blue. I know it's been talked about over the last few days. I again, another one I didn't. I would have gone on forever if I put every player that we've been linked to over the last few days. Tarkowski, I've got a feeling Tarkowski will go to Newcastle. Cornet, don't mind. Dennis, yeah, decent shout. Brownhill, I won't lie. I haven't really focused on. I can't tell you if I think he'd be a good signing or not. Garino, thank you for coming on, mate. Chris Nix, good evening to you. Blackburn have the option to trigger an additional year. They absolutely do. You're bang on. You're dead right. And they're very likely to do so. But the player himself has got to agree it. Thank you for watching, Pam. Good night to you, Black Country, as well. Thank you for WHU. Much appreciated. Scott, well done to Ben Johnson. Yep, done that one. Let's scroll down. English Yardie, Cornet forward from Burnley is the business. I think we would love to see him up top, and Antonio on the wing. I don't think Antonio will go out on the wing, to be honest with you, but Antonio may become our second striker on the bench. Thank you, Martin. Much appreciated. RG Phillips was 4.5 months out with a hamstring. Antonio never had that much trouble. That's a good shout. Good shout. Anthony, Barca are not taking up the option on signing Traore, and they were getting in for 25 mil. And Moyes like, no, I won't have it. No, absolutely not. I don't think he's good enough for West Ham, to be honest with you. And Barca found that out, much to their detriment. Good evening to you. Your countdown. What's this channel all of a sudden? Evening Hammers. It's my new channel. It's the West Ham Voice. It's my new channel away from the West Ham Network. Do subscribe, mate. Do subscribe. Thank you for finding me. And I hope you're well. Let's scroll down. I think that's it. I've come more or less to the end of the show. Few more comments. Epic. Kral doesn't play in the league because that would trigger the obligation to buy him. He was brought on loan as a cup player, but unfortunately crashed out of domestic cups early. Is that correct? Ryan, think we will get Johnston. I'd rather have Areola, but Johnston could be on the cards. Tarkowski and maybe Lingard on the free. Lingard, I think we'll still get. Then we'll bring in 2 expensive signings and maybe a loan. Hopefully, Clotic. Good shouts. Mate, do subscribe and thank you for finding me. Much appreciated. David M, thank you for continuous. Thank you very much for coming on and watching, mate. Kieran, great show. Thank you very much. Hope you're well, everyone. That's it. Done, 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 done. Thank you all for joining me. Really much appreciated. Thank you all for your comments. You keep me on my toes. Sorry I couldn't put up every single comment, but I really do appreciate you getting involved in the show. That's what it's all about. So I will be on over the next few days with maybe one or two other shows, a few transfer stories and stuff like that. So do watch out for them. If you've subscribed, hit the bell button as well. Then you get notification of when I'm back on. I'll be back on the West Ham Weekly again next Monday, nursing a hangover because it will be the game. It will be the day after the game on Sunday. And it's my birthday. Did I mention it's my birthday? So I'll be having a few drinks after the Man City game as well. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciated. Have a good evening. Have a good week. And we'll see you very soon.